Are you sure?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
We gotta go.
And we go.
How was your trip?
It was several days long. It was
Where did y'all go again?
Nova Scotia. Moto Photo Adventures YouTube channel. We have several series out. Go watch it. Nova Scotia is the next one. I just put the preview out.
That's in Canada.
Yeah, top.
Right.
It's like right up above Maine. You go to New Brunswick.
So y'all rode from.
We rode. We put our. So, me and my buddy Chris, who lives here in Charleston, we rode to Hartsville. We loaded our bikes up onto Steve's trailer because that's where he lives.
Okay.
Then we immediately started driving toward Maine. It took us 2 days.
Okay.
We took shifts every gas tank.
Okay.
Next buyer, next driver.
Right.
And so we got all the way up to Benton, Maine, where we stayed in a tiny house behind somebody's house who let us stay there for free.
Okay. That's cool.
It's called Bunker Biker. It's actually pretty cool.
Okay.
And then we dropped the trailer off at his house, and he let us leave it there for a week while we went up and did Nova Scotia and all the
What you call
lighthouses and the beach and
You call that like an excursion, right?
an excursion.
Yeah. No?
That was a journey. Excursion, my butt.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Did you have any, you remember last time we talked about like difficult moments. Did you have any difficult moments to pull through this trip?
So this one, okay, so we've done some difficult moment trips. Oh, it's Twisters.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
The oldest American beer, period.
Is it?
Gives you a twist off because you got to keep it simple.
Yingling is the oldest beer in America, huh? Mm-hmm. You'll get to that, but go ahead with your story.
We've done a number of different types of journeys. Some have been very difficult. East Coast to West Coast, North Carolina to Los Angeles, 90% dirt road. There were some really difficult ones in there. We got about 43 episodes of that one.
Okay.
But we've also done easy rides like the Natchez Trace from Natchez, Mississippi up to Nashville, Tennessee approximately. And that's just nice, easy roads through historical Native American land and
about territories
and you know, people, American travelers who are going that direction.
Right, almost like going west.
Trade routes, yeah, that kind of stuff.
Almost
But it's going north to south.
Going that old Oregon
A
Trail
lot of
route.
Civil War stuff,
Okay,
you know,
yeah.
all of that historical
Oh,
kind of stuff.
okay,
So we've
that's
done
cool.
that. And so on this one, we've also done some backcountry discovery route kind of stuff, which is, you know, it's through the mountains on dirt roads and gravel and rock and all that kind of stuff. So we've done the hard stuff too. This one was an easy one. This one was roads. It was all pretty roads. It's like traveling through fishermen towns on the coast with the fog and the moss and the waves and the lighthouses and all of that stuff.
Got a phone call, but I cut it off.
Yeah.
You good?
Well, what time is it? No, on your watch.
Oh, on my watch, it is. My watch is probably wrong right now, but
Well, then break out.
it says going on 6.
That ain't right.
That ain't
break
right.
break out
Yeah,
your
yeah,
phone
yeah,
so
yeah.
I know
I
what
gotta
time
reset it, yo.
I forgot to set my timer, so I don't want
Be
to.
good.
I want to
Be
go
good.
like
Everything's
3
good.
hours
That
here.
was just my car payment
time is
company.
it?
Oh, it is 7 going on 7.
All right, then
Yeah.
we know approximately how long an hour is now. But anyway, the point of it was, there's normally 3 of us, me, Chris, and Steve.
All right.
And we brought along a new guy named Frank, and it was interesting because there was a 4th person.
Right.
It's going to make the videos kind of interesting. He's done some stuff and talked about his the little debrief in his garage about his trip because he's a YouTuber as well.
Okay.
So yeah. So I've been gone for almost 2 weeks.
Shout out his channel as well.
Yeah, One Old Man Riding.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, on YouTube.
Cool.
So yeah, and we just hit a huge milestone. We've been doing it for about 3 years, and we just hit 1 million views.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I like that on your Facebook.
I would love
page.
to have 1 million subscribers, but at this point, I'll take the 1 million views.
Okay, well, make sure that you tune in to his moto ride.
Yeah,
and
Photo Adventures.
Moto Photo Adventures and Just Talking. Have your viewers to check us out as well.
Yeah, of course. I think I've already done it.
All right.
I mean, why not subscribe to myself?
Come on. Hey, they say if you don't believe in yourself, nobody will. You know what I mean? My friend just told me that the other day.
Yep.
So,
Okay. Let's roll on that one for a minute because I've been talking for a second.
Are you good?
You have to believe in yourself.
Or no one else will. If you don't, it's more so coming from like, if you can't convince the next person of your great idea or that you have faith in your idea, then if you don't have no belief in it, how can you convince someone else that they have belief in it?
And that would be, I suppose, an exuding of confidence.
Exactly.
And-
not being cocky, but being confident.
Right.
It's two totally different. You know what I mean? Because
Well, how far then? So I've also heard. Okay, we have to put it in context, not context, but I'm gonna come at it from the different side.
all right.
How many extra hours do you put into a bad idea? Just because you think you can still save it. How do you know?
I think you ask a mad person that question because I feel like people that
what person?
A mad person. Because
Mad?
a crazy person.
Oh, okay.
More so because and we all fall in that branch when you think something is right. It's like, okay, you're trying to figure out a math problem, right?
Yep. Okay.
And you're just not getting it right, but you're doing the formula right, but you're not getting the correct answer. Because it doesn't. I think you give a breaking point when you realize that the right answer is not popping up, and then you have to go back.
Nothing that you do is going to make it good, even if it was a good idea.
Yeah, pretty. Because you
Well,
can
how
have
do you
great,
find out what flips the script on that? I mean,
well,
a good
that's
idea is a good idea.
Brainstorming, going back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Trying to figure out what went wrong to not give you the right answer.
Right.
You know, like any makeshift company that was trying to start off with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that had like you ever seen the McDonald's movie?
Yeah.
Okay, like that. Like, you know, he had to change his system up just to make the flow,
Mm-hmm.
drop the price a little bit just to make the flow. You know, everybody does certain little different things to give their company a kick. What did Amazon do differently than any other company?
What do you do with new ideas right off the bat?
I let them sit in my head until if I have I'm a visionary, so if I get I do music, so if I get a song idea.
Hold up. That's funny because on my business card it says visionary. On my wife's business card it says voice of reason. So you're a visionary. Keep going.
But you have to. I feel like if it's destined to be out in the world, it's gonna come. It's gonna come. The world is gonna pull it out. You're gonna focus. It's gonna come. It's not gonna come. I don't know for everybody else, but for me, I know that if a song idea might start, it could be the hook. Or I can build a song off of the first line, and then I just get in a trance mode where I'm building blocks off of this. So like even if a person like it's a person that work on cars,
Yep.
and they run to a point where they know everything about cars, but they just can't get this right. They gotta sometimes take a step back from that engine, break the engine down from start. And rework it all the way back to finish.
I'll do that on creative video edits. Say, like for example, music videos.
Right.
It's the same thing when you're writing a song, right? You're going to play that sucker 100 times before you go, okay, there we are, right? Exaggeration, but you get my point.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing when I'm, number one, if I'm going to do a music video, I gotta like the song because I'm about to listen to that sucker a lot.
Right.
And if I don't like the song, I can't
commit to it.
I can't do it.
You can't commit to
Whether
it.
it's the music or it's the lyrics or it's the style I need to have a connection.
You have
to
to have a connection. You have to have a feeling.
Right. Or else I'm never going to be able to put visuals to it with any kind of emotion.
I'm the same way. My friend asked me to do a video for him, and I was like, I could do it. But I want to be once I feel it.
Yep.
I want to be able for you to look at it as an artist and appreciate my vision, because I want it to be a whole vision. You have to see it the same way I see it.
Yeah.
Not to say like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I need you to be like, that's what I was trying to get.
And that's
you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
When I said
from
like
the other perspective,
like a lot of times, me and the musical artist, will meet for dinner, go to the bar, go to the house,
brainstorm.
and the first thing they say, I want to do a music video. And I go, okay, hold it. Don't say nothing else. I don't want you to tell me what your idea is. I want you to tell me in your own words, without you using the lyrics, what your song means.
You want to hear it?
I need you to stay. I don't even want to hear it.
Oh, okay.
Most of the time they've sent me the song, so I heard it. And the problem with that is the first time I hear it, I'm going to interpret it my way.
Right. As a director.
As a director.
Yeah.
So I want to hear what they
As the artist.
As the artist, what's in their head? What does the song mean to them without
Right.
giving me the lyrics? I want to see how close I got. I want to see how far away I got. Because if I got really far away, all the other viewers are going to be too. Which story do I tell? Right? So, in fact, there was Mike Friend, Freund, Mike Friend. I do a lot of his music videos. And there was one where it was basically just a montage video
Right.
of him doing live performances at the
Right.
fair and at the bars and at the, the
Came out pretty
whatever.
good.
He said when that one was finished that
That was his favorite.
he now looks at the song completely different.
Okay. You got a different perspective. of it.
Because he wrote a song, and basically the line was, "If you only knew what I do."
Right. But so in your
You're
mind.
out there dancing, you're out there partying, you're having drinks. I'm up here working. I
Right.
go back home, I come up with
Right.
stuff, I'm writing
Right,
songs.
right, right.
I'm,
If you only knew how hard it
if you
was for the
only-
artist.
And so when he actually wrote it in a different frame of mind.
Right. His song
You
was
don't
something.
really want to know is the name of the song. You don't really want to know.
Right.
And so when I put the visuals to it,
Send me that too,
and
by the way.
I I put the dancing and I put the happy people and I put him on a black backdrop in a morose setting that made him look like he was struggling.
Right.
It went, oh, you really don't see how much an artist struggles behind the
Right.
scenes. You only get to see
'Cause
the thing
you
that they
only-
want you to see.
Exactly. I'm glad you hit that point because that's
Mhm.
almost like our topic was supposed to be passion for the most part.
Yeah, that was our general go-to
Go
for
to
this
like
one.
what
yeah.
like how would you put your passion in and you want to see what does your passion transcend to in other people's eyes.
Yep.
You think of passionate people. When I say a passionate person, give me a couple of examples of passionate people that you think about. I'll give you one.
Okay.
Michael Jordan.
Okay.
I think he's passionate because him, and I'm going to sports for a while.
Yeah, of course.
But him and most
I'll
athletes.
follow you the best I can.
That's cool. We can switch it up. But most athletes are dedicated to their craft.
The ones who stand out
The one-
are
exactly.
the ones. Okay, wait. Can I make just a slight amendment?
Go ahead.
Ones who stand out regularly.
Right. Not
Not a flash in the pan. Not a one-day deal.
No.
Not a one-hit
the
wonder.
names we
Like,
talk about
the ones we talk about for generations.
for generations.
Yeah.
Like these are, but I feel like a lot of these people were passionate in what they believed.
So,
He believed that he was the best.
but does believing you were the best actually make you the best, or do you actually have to either? Well, that's another totally different conversation. Are you born with the talent, or does it? Or
Or is it? I don't feel like no one, unless you're singing, you kind of inherit a voice.
well, he's 6'6" and he could jump like nobody's business. That's
Right.
an inherited
That's
piece of equipment that
right.
was necessary for his.
he had to work on his skills
Yeah,
though.
yeah. I mean, he wasn't going to be a jockey.
Right. But
Even if he
that's
wanted
like-
to be a jockey,
that's
even if
like,
his passion was being a jockey.
What's my guy named Stephen Hawkins? How you feel about him? I feel like Stephen Hawkins is passionate to science,
Yes,
and he devoted his time
yes,
into learning, to want to know, the passion of knowing, until you start creating your
Yep.
own thoughts,
Yep.
and being able to teach the world differently. You know what I mean?
You know what? I don't know that. Okay, so you said teach the world differently. Do you have to know everything before you have an opinion?
No one
Because
can.
you can't do it.
I just feel. Remember we
So-
said this earlier. No one knows everything. No one
Yes.
can know everything.
Right. But are you allowed to throw that idea out there? All right, let me stop right there and say this. When I have a new idea, because I asked you, what's the first thing you do with a new idea?
And I said I let it sit
Yeah.
my brain.
Yeah. The first thing I do with a new idea is I think about it for a minute, number
Right.
one. Obviously, when I say a minute, it could be days, it could be whatever.
Right.
But the second thing I do is I get in contact with a friend of mine, any friend of mine, who may, I think, have some insight into that idea. So for example, if I'm shooting someone with a new camera, I'm going to call Dave Baker. Or if I'm shooting something that has to do with
someone
food
who's-
service, I'm going to call my food service buddy. You know,
Right.
like.
something that lines up with the.
And then
topic
I
that
go,
you're doing.
hey man, I got an idea. I need you to knock holes in it.
All right.
Because if they can immediately come
So
up
you
with some
kind of
problems with that,
you kind of brainstorm with your peers.
I'll do it to my wife. I said, hey, I need 10 minutes. I need you to knock some holes in some stuff.
Right.
And most of the
But I
time,
feel
those
like
ideas
that's-
get shot down
I feel
because
that's
of legitimate
that's a
reasons.
good way to get a justification of what you're doing.
What it's telling me is, do I need to spend more time on it?
because well,
Because if they knock too many holes in it right off the rip,
But let me ask you
I
this.
need to come up with a totally
Will
different
you
thing.
close down a good idea because someone don't like it?
No,
Or will you keep on going
no, they
with
have
it?
to have a really good reason.
Okay.
It's the same with opinions.
All right.
It's like, if you're not going to stick around long enough to convince me that I'm wrong, then I must either be right or you're lazy.
About how what you feeling.
About you know, or you don't really know, or you don't care about me enough to convince me that I'm wrong.
Right.
So I'm gonna keep going the way
But
I'm
that's
going.
what I see, and that's another thing. So that goes into passion as well, because I feel like people that have a disagreement and something they believe in, they're not just gonna give up that easy. So y'all just be
Yeah.
arguing or debating
Have you
all
seen Breakfast
day.
Club, the radio show?
Yeah, I listened to
With
it. Yeah,
Charlamagne the God?
Yeah,
Have
matter
you-
of fact, he's from around my way down the street, Monk's Corner. So
Well, that's my way now too.
Yeah, I
Since
do support
2004.
him. I support him, and I want him to. I wish his show is doing great.
Yep.
So I watched it. What episode did you watch?
I watched the, dang it, what's his name? I watched Vivek
Okay.
and I watched Larry Elder.
Larry Elder. Okay, Larry Elder. I just nitpicked a little bit of that not too long ago.
Okay. Well, that show has become, it's
Highest rate.
campaign time.
Right.
And so all the campaigners, I'm into politics.
Right.
But I'm watching their flow. They're going to every
They did it
big.
last year with or the last 4 years been Biden and Kamala and Hillary was all on there. So I think
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about their show at that point.
Check those episodes out as well.
Okay.
Everybody just giving their.
Yeah.
So what was Larry Elder talking about?
See, Larry Elder, this is a good one because it's race.
Okay.
I don't know that we've stepped on race since we've
Not-
tiptoed around
we
it for a
tiptoed
minute.
around it.
But we haven't talked about anything deep about race. So Larry Elder is, for those who don't know, a black guy, conservative, Republican,
Okay.
self-expressed MAGA.
Okay. So he's going with the Trump. Not the more so like Republican status, like I said earlier.
He's running for president, so he's
Okay.
trying to beat Trump.
Okay.
They say, no, Larry Elder's not going to beat Trump.
Right.
But he holds positions that Trump also holds
Holds as
for
well.
when it comes to
Republicans.
yeah. But even more so like Trump does.
Okay.
Like he is a hardcore conservative when it comes to finances and global relations and trade and energy and education, and what he harped on the most in that interview
Was race.
family.
Okay.
A black family needs a
Structure.
male role model, and he said,
Yeah.
and he tracked it from decades and decades and
Yeah,
decades.
I
about
listened to that because you sent it to me. I listened to it a little bit, and what I got from it was mostly the truth. In the 60s, I think he started in the 60s, you know what I mean, which is about 50 years back, and I think it started to like where he said the government kind of paid off everyone to go into the Section 8 program where the father wasn't like the government would take care of woman long as she don't have a father in the home.
Right.
You know
It
what I'm
was free
saying?
money.
Which is pretty much like the separation of
yeah, and he was saying they did it on purpose.
yeah.
And so that if that is actually the case,
this is Larry
that's-
Elder said he did this on purpose,
well, I don't know. Okay, so
or the government.
yeah, no.
More so, the government did it on purpose.
Well, they had to do it on purpose. They agreed to it. I don't know if it was a nefarious reason.
Right.
But they voted on it and they did it on purpose. And the outcome
Of
was to break up African American
American
families.
home. Right.
And that's never good for consistent
Anything.
households, bringing up kids, income, all of the
that.
stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so he's on the side of Democrats have consistently been on the side of bleeding heart to the point that you're raising bad kids, metaphorically.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. So it's pretty much saying that since they given these projects with these single mothers out there, there's no father figure in the home to actually, because fathers usually are leaders. Black men have been given a bad stigma in this country for umpteen years since it started. So that we're lazy, that we're uneducated, you know what I mean? It was so many different spectrums, but that's totally not the case because you have one of us in pretty much each field doing something to raise a family and be there. So I get where you're coming from with the government stepping in the middle and trying to separate that and make it a narrative
Unintended
where,
consequences.
yeah, that could definitely be true, because I do come from somewhat similar of that background. So like you spoke earlier about like fatherless.
Yeah.
It is a problem. You know what I mean? Like I feel like every child should have a father in their life. But if the government makes it easier to tell a woman, I'm gonna give you a certain amount of money if you just don't do anything and you don't live with a man. It was a movie a long time ago that's James Earl Jones played in, and it's about this.
If you know it, comment.
But I'll get back. The name will pop up to me in a second.
Sure.
But it was about that. It was about the woman had like a bunch of kids. They was actually married and had kids, but she could not write none of his information down. He was
Right.
sneaking in the house to still try to raise his family, and eventually they got caught, and he could never stay with his family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Well, see, but what we have now, and that was 60s, right? So it all
60s, 70s.
let's call it
70s,
60s, right?
Yeah.
Now we have an entire generation of people that were born into that situation
Right.
and were molded by that situation
Right.
and made their minds up based on those situations, are now the adults
And
leading the
and
country
bearing,
and
yeah.
parenting
Yeah.
in a way that maybe they weren't trained as kids to, or they're doing the best they can now,
Right.
but it's a culture now.
Right. It's
And so the only way to he's saying
only way to get rid of that is to get rid of that system. Is that what he's saying?
well, it's not helpful that the system continues, but he was saying we need to pull ourselves up by ourselves.
Okay.
We need to reject this stuff and go back to
So are we more so saying like tell everybody that Section 8 ain't cool? Like don't accept Section 8, do it on your own? That's his theory, right?
well, yeah,
More so?
but obviously it's like
If you
it's
need
like
help-
it's like
So
anything
this is-
else. You can't go cold turkey
Okay.
because it wrecks the
I'm gonna speak
system.
from personal narrative now
Go.
a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit, because a lot of my friends and family grew up in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
The goal for a lot of mothers, single mothers out there, if that's the case, you know what I mean, everybody relationships start.
Yep.
You know, nobody starts a relationship saying, hey, we're not gonna make it and you can't stay in this house because of the government.
Right,
It don't
right,
usually work like that. So but any mother out there with kids that need a place to stay goes to the government, and government housing is provided. The goal is not to stay on government housing. The goal is to
Well, it never
grind.
is.
Right.
And they were assuming that it was a temporary measure to get everything
Right.
cranking, right?
Right.
To get people some help and whatever. But
it has to be on the individual.
Yes,
Because
it
I
does.
do know a lot of people that was in that situation
Mm-hmm.
and did not get comfortable in the situation because they probably was raised different. They probably.
But what
was-
do you think the percentage of those types of people are? It's not as large.
not high.
That's
It's
what I'm
not
saying.
high.
So when you have the majority of the people not doing what you're saying, the
Right.
positive moves to improve their lives, but you have the majority of the people not doing that. And I'm not saying this is a race thing at all.
it's-
This is a white
I know-
and black
I
thing.
know white
right?
women on
So
Section
this
8,
is an everybody thing.
yeah.
If everybody gets whatever they want, whenever they want, by just checking a few boxes on
Right.
a form, then they're going to do that.
Right.
And then they're going to get whatever that the government's going to give them. And it's never
Never.
a good idea.
and how can you keep borrowing from a country that's in debt?
Well, that's a completely different
Okay,
conversation.
well-
but holy smokes.
So, and I was going to jump to the next subject of affirmative action.
Okay.
Because
All right, we're gonna stay on this.
well, because they're adding, they're pulling things, they're trying to change
Right.
a lot of things.
Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning.
Okay,
And
we'll come back to that.
Yeah, no, let's build our way up to it. Tell me what affirmative action is, as you have learned it.
I feel like I've learned it more so as affirmative action is to make a workplace equal for everyone, not based on standards of skills, but to also have like a set of people. We need 4 Mexicans, we need 5 Africans, we need just to spread out the demographic, so it won't be just one whole company ran by one certain people.
Okay.
Just to kind of diversify the company with race more so than skill needs, if that
And-
makes any kind of sense.
Yeah. So is it a positive thing or a negative thing?
I think it's a negative thing.
Okay.
I think that with the way this country was set up, you would have to have affirmative action because people will feel slighted, like they're not like they're not being accepted for jobs because
when it
of
was,
their color.
So when it was first enacted, to my recollection, caveat,
You good?
it was put in place because of the civil rights movement, and right prior to that, black people were not allowed
To
by
work-
law to
to
do
work certain
certain things.
things,
So
yeah.
what they were trying to do was
Make it
forced
available.
integration.
Pretty much.
It's the only way you can do it at the time. Isn't it? If you left it up to the people, then half the country's going to do it and half the country's not, and it's not going to be fair.
Was
So
it to make the country better, or
yeah,
was it to?
absolutely,
Yeah, it was
100%, absolutely. Whoever had the idea, it's a good idea. They needed to enforce it. They did sometimes with police. They sometimes did it with the military because of the colleges
and
and the high schools.
everything runs its course.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
That's right.
So let it start it off with
It was a
giving people
jumper.
right.
It was a jump
so
start.
now it can be taken away.
That's
I have
what
no problem with
That's
because
what I'm saying. At
'cause-
what point do you not need it anymore because opportunity, equality of opportunity has been achieved?
Because when you're dealing with business,
Do you think equality of opportunity has been achieved in America
yeah,
for everybody?
I feel like within the last 50 to 60 years,
From the 60s and 70s?
from the 60s and 70s, because that was the more so struggle and a fight for equality.
To get the
To
rules
get
changed.
to, because most people, if we talk about America, you know, the whole fight was for equality, so people could be able to go like the integration, Brown versus the Board of Education.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Love versus
Yep.
you know, all the integration of people being able to marry black and white, or you know, what I mean,
Yeah.
people to be able
Yep.
to.
Yep.
America's about free will for the most part, so it's like to
As
give
long as you
everybody
ain't screwing somebody else over.
right for the most part.
Right.
And so it's like they want to make an equal playing field, but then you make it equal, then once it becomes equal, then you can start taking away affirmative action. Then you can start taking away Section 8 because the time's been allowed it for people to kind of catch up, but it's kind of hard to have a certain set people catch up of in the last 50 years when you've been kind of fucked over
Well,
for
let
the
me
last
go.
350.
All right, so let's go one step further on the. All right, so we've done. We've taken 2 steps in race.
Right.
I'm gonna take one more.
Go ahead.
Reparations.
Reparations hard to talk about.
You got- yeah,
Not
what is
really.
it?
No, really, because you know, we can start with 40 acres in the mule.
Okay.
A lot of people didn't even. That was already a set rule, and a lot of people didn't even get that.
Okay.
Or the sharecroppers in the past were promised land,
Mm-hmm.
and their land got taken away from them. There's a lot of double-edged swords when it comes to the government treating our people fair. When you say reparations to black people or reparations to mostly black people, I would
Depends.
say black people mostly because
That's what. That when you say reparations, the
that's what it-
picture in
that's-
somebody's head
they
comes
have
up. It's gonna be
they have
African American.
they have a chart
Yep.
with every race, you know, going to the Indians because Indians got reservations and casinos.
Yep.
You got Jews, you know, that came in from the Holocaust.
Yep.
And they got some stuff. They got a number, and they pretty much got free range to a lot of things. Early
Well,
starting,
you're talking about in America.
yeah, in America.
Well, they had. I mean, they had to come up. Okay, so
Every-
everybody. They did have. All right, go ahead and make it.
Everyone got benefits.
What were the? But
Well,
say, what were those
the
benefits?
Chinese.
Oh,
well,
the Chinese had it hard, dude.
They had it hard, but they had it hard. Everybody's gonna have it hard in
That's
America
a
because it's
point.
designed to be hard. It's not designed to be easy.
Right, but we need to be. I mean, we have gotten past the point of
Women.
basically.
Let's
you know,
talk about women.
Slave labor.
White women haven't had no rights till they burned their bras.
Until the voting rights
Right. So
came up.
they fought for.
Here's
vote.
an interesting historical fact that most people, and I'm hoping this is, I've done a bit of research on this one. I've cross-referenced it, and,
Okay.
and it's been told to me that this is proper. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but there you go. Most of women did not want the right to vote when it was being fought for,
because
with the right to vote came the responsibility of being a firefighter.
a firefighter, a person
You
that
had to
could,
be a volunteer firefighter
In order to vote?
or a city servant that required physicalness.
okay, but okay,
So they didn't, because the wives at the time,
we're different.
they
We're talking
were
about different
housewives, they were, raising the kids, they
Right.
were the
We-
hardy
we
homemaker.
We lived off the back we said hunter gatherers, and men be the hunter.
Yeah.
Get things done, and women be the gatherers,
That's right.
and they take care of the home.
And at the time, most women, according to the census, according to the
right.
documents, this is not my opinion.
It's the hippies that did it.
It was the suffragettes and the same women that did
Right. Well,
prohibition. That they were always moving toward these things. But most of the women at the time did not want the right to vote. Now, that doesn't mean it wasn't that it wasn't deserved.
Right.
They were just comfortable.
But it will only be a matter if a couple select group said we want to vote, because
Right.
Okay, let's talk about this. Do you know we wouldn't even have school systems if it wasn't for prostitution?
I did not know that. Give me that
Do
one.
you know that the first school was started by prostitutes in America? In the Wild Wild West. When
do you mean?
they was
Wait a
working
minute.
on the Oregon Trail, remember they was working
Are
on
you
the
talking about public
I'm
school
talking-
system?
I'm talking about
because I know that they
school.
had church schools on
I'm
the
talking about
Pilgrims and
first
stuff.
schools learning in America.
Well, they had church schools with the Pilgrims.
And, well, I mean, yeah, that's cool, but
But you're saying that there is
I'm talking
a
about
bunch of Western schools that
Western
were developed
as
by,
they was building the
Yep.
train,
Yep.
the train tracks that's after the Civil War. Was that
Yeah.
after the Civil
late
War?
1800s.
Right. And all the men was building the tracks.
Well,
all the women
okay.
were working in the brothels.
Having babies, needing to teach them.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. It makes
See,
sense.
unintended consequences.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Everything that you think is going to happen might, but a whole bunch of other stuff
what's
that you
gonna
don't
happen.
know that's
It's
going to
gonna
happen
happen.
is going to, yeah, man.
Fortitude.
Fortitude.
But I say that word, but what does that mean to you?
Strength, determination, and stability.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
No, it is, but it is that. It's because you have to have the fortitude to get things
My dad used to
done.
say intestinal fortitude. That means guts.
Right.
Do you have the guts?
Okay.
And what does it mean to you?
Okay.
And what are you willing to give
I
up?
believe that's what got this country to where it's at. Not just in that aspect, but it takes a lot of guts to try to make people change their way of thinking, or saying this is a set way of life.
That's an interesting point, which makes me think of recent events. Personally,
Okay.
I started this. Asked you to
Right.
join me to start this.
Correct.
Because I decided that I didn't want to be quiet anymore.
Okay.
Well, and it's not a big deal to most people. Most people have loud opinions,
Right.
and that's fine. I love it. Just like this, at some point we're going to disagree hardcore on something,
Of course.
and we're going to
It's
go at it,
natural.
and that's fine.
It's natural.
However, there's a lot of stuff going on in our country at the moment that gives me great concern.
Makes you uneasy.
It's one of those, you get the spidey sense, or the little red flag, or
Okay.
the spine tingle, or the that pit of your stomach, kind of
What's
is
next?
not if what is happening continues to happen, what is going to happen? Question mark.
Okay.